Born into an ex-police dog's family, Kyle had loyalty imprinted in his mind even as a pup. Here's Kyle, an adorable 10-year-old German Shepherd who is retired from duty and now spending his last days in beautiful countryside with lots of great views. He is in care of a loving couple, the Smiths, who couldn't help but fall in love with him at first sight. Kyle misses his years as a police dog. What he misses more is his work partner and best buddy, whose bond with him runs deep. Kyle spent most of his years offering significant service to the police force with John's help, helping to solve countless cases and finding multiple missing people. And now that Kyle is miles away from his partner, he needs a perfect plan if he would ever get to see him again. The question is, how would he achieve his aim? Would Kyle ever get to see John again? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any news stories. Born with no worries. You know what they say about destiny and how it has its way of always coming true? Kyle was born for one purpose. One he wasn't aware of the moment he first opened his eyes, but later got to find out where his path in life will be. Kyle was born into a German Shepherd family. He was born a happy pup with no worries. Kyle was raised as a sweet pup that is relatively too innocent for attack strategies. Explosive searching. Kyle turned out to be a smart and obedient dog. He picked up a lot of what was being taught to him very quickly. He was instilled with the same drive and intelligence that makes them better than every other average dog. Getting on his full career tracks, Kyle's excellence was recognized, and it earned him a post as a fully certified police dog. Although he still lacked a little in his aggression faculty, it could be worked on with time. Kyle has other puppies in his family that was all enrolled in the Police Dog Academy. However, of all his 6 siblings, only Kyle and his sister were strong enough to overcome the rigorous training and soothed to be a police dog. Kyle became the pride of his family, but this was only the beginning. Perfect match. As Kyle moved to join the police in full force, he had hidden fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of either he would be good enough or capable of protecting others. Kyle seems uncooperative with any other officer except John. Their relationship ran too deep that it would not be wise to split them up. They are great partners, so they continued to be. John adopts Kyle. It didn't take John a second more to sign up for Kyle's adoption and let him live in his apartment. That same evening, John took Kyle home after work. John created enough space to fit Kyle and himself. They started living as roommates, doing everything together. That way, they both retire every day after work and take enough rest. Solving lots of cases together, patrol dogs obtain police dog training in many aspects of daily police life, from finding suspects to protecting their officers and subduing criminals. Kyle has taken a series of training that he knows what to do in every situation. With Kyle and John being successful partners, the pair was asked to assist in many cases and often contribute to solving them. Throughout his time with the police, he also got better in the hard parts, like protecting in partner John. He had come to love him more than a partner. He was his best friend. Kyle sometimes puts his life on the line to save John. Difficult goodbyes. 8 great years were spent working with his buddy, always by his side protecting him. John could never forget the time Kyle saved him from a bullet aim, or the time he boldly attached a mob of gangsters just for him. There were so many memories made together. Although it was hard to say goodbye, John knew it was the right thing to do. John made sure to spend his very last summer vacation with Kyle thoughtfully. He threw him a party and took him on a picnic. New owner's Kyle was put up for adoption, and because he's a very lovable dog, he soon got adopted by a lovely couple whose kids were almost ready to move out. Kyle's new owners, the Smiths, fell in love with him at first sight and spoiled him as much as they could. The only problem was that they didn't have the most spacious house, hence the always energetic Kyle didn't get all the exercise he probably needed. Looking for a new house, Kyle had lived in this new family for a whole year. He thought he would never find a friend like John, which is true, but he found a family and a home with the Smiths. Luckily, their limited space problem was quickly solved when the couple's son moved out of the house, and they didn't have a need to be in and around the city center anymore. Afterward, they started a search for a new place to live. Thomas Smith and his wife Jane always included their dog Kyle when viewing new homes. They trusted his instincts and wanted to see how he reacted to the surroundings. Their primary concern was ensuring they found the best place for Kyle, a decision that was more influenced by him than they initially thought. After much consideration, the Smiths chose a spacious old house in the countryside, away from the city. The house offered plenty of space for Kyle to run and explore. The surrounding scenery, featuring mountains, pastures, and the ocean, made it an ideal spot for the family, especially Kyle. Walking became part of their daily routine. It was easy, free, and easy on the joints. Thomas and Jane enjoyed long walks with Kyle, who seemed to love every moment. He got to exercise and explore nearby woods, villages, and meet other dog owners along the way. At first, Kyle struggled to socialize with other dogs. He was eager to play but often played too roughly, especially with smaller dogs. However, Kyle quickly learned to be gentler, enjoying his interactions and starting to understand dog etiquette. Kyle's love for running with Thomas was infectious. Even on days when Thomas wasn't motivated, he felt guilty for not taking Kyle out for their favorite activity. The countryside provided endless pathways and trees to explore, and Kyle's energy was boundless, often leaving Thomas struggling to keep up. After a couple of weeks, Kyle's excitement began to fade. The dog, who once eagerly anticipated every walk, now seemed lethargic, walking slowly beside Thomas. His usual enthusiasm for exploring the area disappeared, which struck Thomas as odd. Thomas noticed Kyle's behavior worsening. He wasn't eating well and lacked energy. Concerned, Thomas questioned whether the move to the countryside had been a mistake. He had hoped the open space would make Kyle happier, but it seemed to have the opposite effect. Fearing Kyle might be sick, Thomas took him to the vet. The vet conducted a thorough examination and ran several tests, but concluded that Kyle was physically healthy. Thomas shared his concerns about Kyle's behavior, but the vet was just as puzzled, offering no clear explanation. One day, during a walk near the forest, Kyle suddenly shifted into his police dog mode. He became alert, sniffing the ground furiously and refusing to move. Thomas was confused but curious as to what had caught his dog's attention. Kyle had always been a keen sniffer, often stopping to investigate new scents during walks. He would find small animals, old toys, and hidden objects. His sharp senses and determination made him a relentless explorer, even venturing deep into the forest to uncover new scents. During one walk, Kyle picked up a strange, unfamiliar scent but lost its trail quickly. Over the next few days, he seemed increasingly disturbed by the scent he couldn't track. Kyle's usual behavior was replaced by frustration as he could not uncover its source. Thomas, trying to redirect Kyle's focus, offered his favorite treats, calling him and trying to coax him away from the tree he had sat by. Despite his attempts, Kyle refused to move, remaining fixated on the mysterious scent and showing little interest in anything else. Thomas, confused and worried, didn't understand what was bothering Kyle. Despite the vet's reassurance, the dog's odd behavior continued. He wondered if there was something hidden in the tree, but the lack of leaves ruled out any possibility of an animal being there. Though puzzled, Thomas was determined to find out what had unsettled his dog so much. Thomas was at a loss. Kyle's behavior was baffling, and nothing seemed to get him back to his usual self. In desperation, Thomas called Kyle's old partner, John, hoping he could shed some light on the situation. After all, they had worked together for years, and John might know what was going on with Kyle. John's heart skipped a beat when he received the call from Thomas. Could something be wrong with Kyle? As Thomas described Kyle's strange behavior, John immediately recognized it. He explained that when Kyle encountered something unusual that he couldn't track, he was trained to sit and wait, patiently observing. John grew curious when Thomas mentioned Kyle sitting in front of a tree. He asked Thomas to investigate further and warned him to be cautious. It could be something dangerous. When Thomas approached the tree, he noticed something strange. A large part of the tree near where Kyle was sitting appeared broken and caved in. Thomas decided to push the damaged part, but as he did, Kyle growled and took a defensive stance. With a deep breath, Thomas pushed harder on the tree and discovered there was a significant space inside. As he peered in, he was horrified by what he saw: a skeleton, partially visible. He recoiled, almost tripping over Kyle as he jumped back in shock. "Shaken," Thomas called John, his voice trembling. He reported the discovery and urgently requested help. John wasted no time and immediately set off with 2 forensic experts to investigate. John and the forensic team drove for over 2 hours to reach Kyle's new home. During the long journey, John couldn't help but feel guilty for not visiting Kyle sooner. His old partner's absence weighed on him. When John and the team finally arrived, Kyle's reaction was immediate. The dog was overjoyed to see his old partner, jumping and licking John's face. Thomas was amazed by how excited Kyle was. recognizing the deep bond they shared. The joyful moment didn't last long as John focused on the task at hand. He approached the tree and carefully removed the broken bark to fully reveal the skeleton hidden inside. He was eager to solve the mystery, despite the disturbing discovery. John was ready to report the skeleton to his chief officer, but the forensic experts stopped him. They quickly assessed the bones and determined they were likely a Halloween decoration. The relief was palpable, but John couldn't help but question why Kyle had reacted so strongly to a fake skeleton. The forensic experts confirmed that the skeleton was a fake, likely placed as a prank by someone nearby. John was relieved but puzzled. Kyle was highly trained and could easily distinguish real threats from false alarms. Why had he reacted so intensely to something harmless? As John looked down at Kyle, still excitedly jumping around him, the realization struck him. It wasn't the skeleton that Kyle was trying to warn him about, it was something else entirely. John laughed as the final piece clicked into place. This was Kyle's way of sending a message. He missed John and wanted him to come back. Moved by Kyle's loyalty, John promised to visit him more often. He understood the depth of the bond they shared, and he couldn't ignore the message Kyle had sent him. After a walk through the woods, John left with a renewed commitment to visit his old partner, promising to never let the distance grow between them again.